สวัสดีค่ะ Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Rose Chitanuwat. I'm going to be the moderator for our session today, part of the Food Ingredients Asia online event. Today with me, I have a very well-known speaker, Mr. Visit Lim Lucha. So I have a little bit introduction about Mr. Visit. He is now the Vice Chairman of Thai Chamber of Commerce, or we know under TCC, who lead the group of the processed food and future food group. Also, he is the chairman of the Food Processing Industry Club from FTI, the Federation of Thai Industry, and could visit lately he formed the group of the Food Connects young generation who will form together to work toward how to make Thailand the hub of the future food and support the industry. Today's session, I apologize to all Thai people here. I have to run into English language and have Kun visit with us to share the presentation. So I would not waste the time to introduce more. So let's us enjoy from hearing Mr. Visit sharing if the reopening happen, what will be the food and industry in Thailand. So may I invite Kun Visit to start the presentation.
Yes, thank you, Kun Rose, and I'm very glad to be here again with the Food Ingredient Asia. And today I would like to share our statistic and also what is happening during the COVID pandemic in our food industry, and also what will be next after we have a better situation. Okay, so let me share the slide. I have the Thai trade value on food and beverage. We can say that before the pandemic, in 2018, our food export to the world markets were expanding at 8%. You can see in the chart. And during the pandemic in 2019 and 2020, the value was in declining trends because the rising of SPS and TBT, the sanitary and also the trade barrier restriction that most of countries use as the protective measures relating to COVID-19. Moreover, the significantly enlarging of logistic costs due to the container shortage and the increasing of 1 to 4 times of sea freight costs. We can say that in some route, for example, from Thailand to America, from Thailand to European markets, the freight cost is going up high, maybe more than 3 or 4 times compared to 2018. In addition of the higher cost of the all kind of packaging, paper, plastic, everything, and also the steel to make the empty can. Especially the empty cans have been increased for 5 quarters. In total, the number is more than 50% of the cost of the packaging cost. These are impacted to the purchase order that customers were unacceptable for the price, because our price increased not because of our raw material, but it's from packaging, and also it's from the freight charge. So most of the customer delay the shipment or stop their order for 1 or 2 months. This is very it's not good for our producer in Thailand. I really concerned since the factors are either impacting on the world trade atmosphere and the world food security chain. The low-income consumers will harder to access the food if the logistics sectors could be lower the price, it will be better. And they will also help the farmers also. Anyway, some items of products got the opportunity from the COVID. We have 3 products that were growing in 2 digits growth rate in the first 7 months of the years. For example, they are the cassava product. Cassava product got the highest growth value of 48%, followed by the fruit products. Fruit products was 54% expanding, and followed by 14% of condiment. Alcohol beverage got 9% growth rate. And the last one in top 5 products was beverage, came with 8% growth rate. Overall, of food and beverage sales volume of domestic market was in the upside trend. This year is also expanding for 3%, although the number of tourists is down. We have the tourists come to Thailand in 2018 at the number of about 40 million people, 40 million tourists. They help to use the supply in Thailand. They come to have dining in Bangkok, in the many provinces in Thailand. So we use a lot of our raw material here in Thailand. Top 5 products that got highest sales volume were condiment, non-alcohol beverage, fresh and processed meat, dairy products, and instant noodles. However, the third round of pandemic has impacted to the HoReCa business. HoReCa is a hotel, a restaurant and catering business. The K-Bank, our K-Bank in Thailand research, they forecast that retail business will be 2% of declining, while restaurant and food catering will shrink around 14 to 17%. But in reality, I think the number of shrink maybe more than that. Functional drink was getting a good response from domestic consumers, double-digit growth in 2019 at 20%. The value is about 8,400 million and slowed down in 2020 at 9% growth. The value is at 9,100 million. Vitamin mineral water was the hot item that expand very fast in 2020 at 79%, because people believe that they will boost the immune system of the body. The value of the vitamin mineral water in 2020 is at 2,200 million, and project that it will be reach 5,000 million in 2025 for 43% expanding value. COVID-19 is a key factor to accelerate this market because it is response for the consumer need to boost up the immune, as I said. Although we are facing the pandemic in Thailand, our food factories are still working harder to ensure that every product unit must be safety and in good quality. The Food Safety Plus measure that we have used since the early of the pandemic are still effective and work well in our premises. So I will explain what is a Food Safety Plus measure, because normally we have food safety, but we plus some measure about the sanitary Every food factory must run under GMP and HACCP as a fundamental standards. This is from our law also. We should have at least GMP. On top with more frequency and strict hygienic practice of personnel, process, and product. All staff have been well trained about the healthcare practice to prevent of getting infectious and what to do when they get ill. External personnel that are permitted to visit the premise must wear masks, the face mask anytime and anywhere within the factory area. And they have to pass the thermal screen and health risk screening by using questionnaire. Not many people can get into the factory because most of the factory, they try to prevent themselves from infection. So even customer, they want to survey the production process. We will use an online camera to help the customer to check our production process. And also all personnel that permitted to enter the production zone must be passed with the health screening by thermal screen also, well hand washing and sanitizing, then cover with the personal protective clothing again. Processing area must be cleaning and sanitizing more frequently other than usual. Traffic route arrangement to prevent contamination and optional social distancing management for working personnel. Effective product traceability, quarantine, and release system. So next, one more method that we use as a preventive control measure for our personnel from the infectious is the bubble and seal measure. This measure we are widely used in Thailand now with most of the factory. If they want to produce, they should have the bubble and seal measure. It is the flexible control guidance depends on the factory availability. And if factories that unavailable for providing the isolation unit to their personnel are able to use the bubble measure that control their working personnel traveling route between the factory and their accommodations to reduce the possibility of getting infectious from the community. While the seal measure is suited for factories that have enough resource to support isolation within the factory for their personnel. This measure invests higher expense, such as essential facility arranging, meals, and good handling for waste management. Bubble and seal measure is aimed at the restricted travel among the workers. They may need to stay in the factories or travel between their domination and workplace only. The employee with the different levels of COVID-19 risk will be grouped to reduce the possibility of infectious among them. However, all the employee can work as normal under the measure so that the operation are not disrupted. This is the very good point of using the bubble and seal measure. And then I will explain more about the fundamental measure to the factory for planning bubble and seal. We have the screening by daily check. We are looking for the patients to separate them. And then we follow by DMHTTA measure. DMHTTA is like washing hand, social distance, and blah, blah, blah. Improve a conducive environment for disease control measure. New staff measure, 14 days quarantine of new staff, and vaccine procurement. This is very important in Thailand now. What to do when the factory is providing the accommodation? The first thing is to arrange the subgroup of in the workplace, do activities, travels without group crossing. Accommodation zoning by small bubble group, and provide welfare shops. Many of factory try to invite the shop outside to move into the factory. Avoid the social activities and grouping. In the case when the factory unavailable to provide in-house accommodation, it should arrange subgroup in the workplace, do activities, travels without group crossing. This is very important. Group crossing are not allowed when we use this measure. In this case, when the factory unavailable to provide in-house accommodation, it should arrange subgroup workplace to do activities, as I talked earlier, that they do not cross between group by group. If the factory provide accommodation in the community, staff will be in the same bubble and follow the DMH. Staff who stay in the community must avoid socializing, gathering, and going into the community. And another one, travel measure for the staff. How can staff travel? The first thing is that travel by private car must follow also by DMH. If the factory provide the transportation, the route control and the staff must follow the journey measure. The bus that we pick up the staff from the hostel, from the accommodation to the factory should not stop over any place, just only the factory and the accommodation place. Staff who travel by public bus should keep the distance of 1 or 2 meters and also follow the measure of DMH. It's not easy in this situation, but bubble and seal measure will help the factory not to close, not to be disrupted. We can still have a production with a strict measure. Okay, next. Another one, this one is just launched by our launched by our government last week. We call this one is as a factory sandbox measure. Factory sandbox measure is suitable for a big company, for a big factory, for the large size enterprise that there are more than 500 working personnel upwards, because the cost of implementing this measure is very high, and the factory or the company should prepare the budget also. This factory sandbox measure cover 4 stages of controls. The first one is test, the second one is treat, the third one is care, and the fourth is control. I will explain briefly. The first one, test, is working 100% of screening tests for the working personnel by using RT-PCR. as a proactive program to seek and separate the infectious stuff to treat. This one, our government will help the factory to access the RT-PCR. And I just heard that, from some factory that the measure is to help the factory, and also the government will pay for the RT-PCR. And the test is 100% test to separate the patients at first. The non-infectious stuff will be done the weekly ATK test also. The ATK in Thailand we call ATK because antigen test kit, but maybe normally we call it rapid test because we can test and know the result by 10 or 15 minutes. After we have the RT-PCR, we will have to test by ourselves. This is the factory cost. Every week you need to test and to test our workers with the rapid test kits. And the third one is treat. Treat is done when we found the infectious stuff and provide the treatment in relating to the infectious symptom. The severe ones will be sent to the hospital for close care. At least who has even a fever now, most of our factory, we have many measures to help. The next one is care. Care is providing the vaccination for the staff in risk with 7 groups of NCDs. NCD is, for example, high blood pressure, diabetes. This is an example. We have 7 groups of these in NCD disease, and also the pregnant people. The government will provide the vaccination for this group first, not only in the factory, but all our people in Thailand. We use the same measure. And the last one, control. Control is the bubble and seal that I talked earlier. Bubble and seal and will help our workers not to contact with other people in the community. So the community will be safe, and also the workers in the factory also will be safe from the community also. Okay, next. COVID-19 is a key factor to accelerate global changing. Food business operators are gradually adapting their business to catch up the trend, such as the first one is processing standard. The second one is digital transformation. The third one is factory 4.0, or we can call the automation, and many things that you can use a machine to help production. The fourth one is precision farming, and the last one is future food trend. Okay, let's go into the details of these 5 categories. Up next, food processing must process to comply with various standards besides food safety. Those are covered to social responsibility, environment friendly, and animal welfare to promote food sustainability and security. Other than the standard, food business must work to comply with the regulation of trade partners that abundant increasing when faced to COVID-19. You can see from this chart, we have a lot of non-tariff measure in 2020. In 2020, the number of world NTM, non-tariff measures, was 59,115 measures. Compared to 2019, there was 3,731 measures. I can tell you that I think more than 20 times compared to the year that we don't have COVID-19. The next chart, I will talk about the Sustainable Development Goals that UN we announced already, and also FAO also announced for 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Thailand also adapts to these goals by creating the Bio-Circular Green Economy Policy, we call BCG, which the bioeconomy involves the production of renewable biological resource and conversion of these resources into value-added products. And the circular economy, or C, will aims at reusing and recycling resource. And another one, green economy, it determines to keep economy, society, and environment in balance, leading to the sustainable developments. And then the next slide. To apply digital technology for business is a must-doing strategy also. The advantages that we will get are, the first thing is that to enhance customer experience. You can see from the marketing online now, we use a lot of new digital technology to help consumer to have experience by searching the product easily, even by their own website. And the second one, to reduce the cost. The third one is to reduce unnecessary steps or processes. In our process of export in Thailand, we have a lot of things to do with the paper, with the documents. But now our government and also our private sector are try to do together to have the, we call NSW, National Single Windows. The exporter can sit in our own office and do every kind of documents online. This is very good to our exporter to save the cost, save time, and we'll have more efficient business. We also try to increase the organizational mobility. We accumulate a database of consumer insight also to analyze and plan marketing strategies. So this is a good point of digital technology, digital transformation that will help our business. Okay, and then adopting technology and innovation, for example, artificial intelligence, big data analytics, cloud computing in the industrial production process is helping us to increase productivity and production efficiency. Also, the precision farming technology is helping the farmers to reduce the chemical use, increase the productivity and reduce producing costs. In Thailand now, we use a lot of drone, and it's not invest by the farmers themselves. We have the company who invest in buying drones and use them to service the farmers. Farmers, they do not need to buy the drone by themselves because of the cost is still high, but they can hire outside company to help their farms. So the trend of food to response for the consumer lifestyle in the future, that food operators should catch up to get the idea for new product development. For example, such as the next slide, please. The first one is help immune boosting. The second one is personalized nutrition, well-mental eating, gastronomy, tourism. The tourism in the future is not only travel and take the photos, but the tourists will enjoy with dining also, and not a normal dining with only a good or special taste, but also the nutrition also. We are doing and preparing the elderly food also, because in Thailand, in the next few years, we will have 1/4. That means 25% of our people will be aging people. So this is not only in Thailand, in many countries in the world, we will have aging people. So we have to prepare the food for them also. In Thailand, we also have a share kitchen now. During the COVID pandemic, we have a lot of kitchen around the countries. They are not the restaurant. They only have kitchen, and they only apply for the application on the mobile phone for the delivery. They cook food, and then the application will help to find the consumers. They catch the people by the application. So the kitchen or the restaurant that they don't have a place, they can use their own kitchen to do this also. Next one, we have also the biodiverse dining. And not only that, we are talking also about the food waste rescue. When the restaurant, at the end of the day, they will have some food left from their cooking. We have the organization, we call NGO. They help us to collect this food waste, and they distribute this one to the poor people in our country. This is now very famous in Bangkok because they can help poor people during the COVID-19. And the last one is nutrition. Nutrition is nutrition. So we have a lot of things to develop our new products. Okay, next slide, please. For Thailand, according to the Global Future Food Value.
Visit class, the microphone is mute.
Oh, I'm sorry. Why the microphone is mute? Okay. Refer to the Forbes Thailand article. According to the Global Future Food Value on these 8 items of products in 2020, the value is 203 billion US dollar. Food ingredient hits the top on the market share at 37%, with the same figure of growth rate of 37% in 2025 forecasting. These are various kind of raw material in Thailand that suit for processing the food ingredients. Since the extraction technology is need high investment, it will be great if government announce the policy to promote for this industry also. The high value products as food ingredient will make more profit income for Thailand also in the future. Okay, let's go to the next slide. I would like to talk about the plant-based meat. Plant-based meat is another product show the interesting growth rate of 8 to 9% per year for many years, which estimate that the market value will reach at 16 billion in 2023. US market will be the biggest market on this product. We have many parts of consumers who are interested in plant-based meat. For example, the vegetarian, yes, they also eat the plant-based meat. But we have normal people that they want their health to be better. This group we call flexitarian. They can adapt themselves to be a vegetarian someday, not every day. So plant-based meat is very suitable for these new group of consumer. Okay, next slide, please. I have some photos to show. This is a product of plant-based meat you can find in Thailand now in various supermarket. We have many brands of Thai, not only the brand from outside the country, but also in Thailand. We have, for example, we have more meat, we have less plant meat, we have meat zero, a lot more from many companies, both big companies and small company. And it's not only the meat for the burger, but in Thailand we have we use this kind of meat, not only a beef, but we can do as pork, we can have fish from a plant-based. And also we have one brand is the name is Mantra. They have a process to do a trim, yeah. And this kind of raw material, we also have some of our producer to mix them up with our a lot of recipe in Thailand. For example, Pad Kapao. As you know well, in Thailand we have Pad Kapao and many other recipe. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Soy protein is one of the raw material that majority used in plant-based meat production industry. Its high protein contents of 36 to 40% make it competitive to animal protein. The growth rate value is continuing increase with 9 to 10% every year. Estimation that in 2023, the value will be reached at 9.6 billion. Thailand demand 300,000 tons per year of soybean for food and beverage industry. Most of raw material rely on imported. But not only the soy protein we use, we have many kinds of plant in Thailand that we can use to make the plant-based meat or plant-based protein. Insect protein is one of interesting alternative protein. In Thailand now, we have a big plan of alternative protein that is not only fixed with the plant-based meat or plant-based protein. We also have the insect protein also because of our atmosphere, our temperature in Thailand, and our place in Thailand. We can have a farm. We can have an insect farm. Insect protein is one of the interesting alternative protein with a high protein content. Raising insects require less space of water, low investment, low emission of greenhouse gas. This one we can say that we get along with the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals of the UN, and also the BCG, Bio, Circular and Green of Thailand policy also. The projection of 24% growth rate during 2018 to 2023. The major markets are EU. EU, they said that insect is a novel food, but now it's not difficult to register the novel food in EU because they also learn a lot of insect protein already. In many kinds of food in EU, the mix, the insect powder in the food also. You can see that there are pasta, spaghetti, and many kinds of food. They mix the insect powder in that kind of flour, or even the noodles. Not only the EU market, but also the US market also expanding, and also China and Canada. This is the 4 main markets. But I think in other countries in Asia will also have a good growth rate in the near future, because after we have a lot of producer and competitors in the market, consumer will know the products well, and they will try at least one time a month. And we have some photo to show that what kind of insect we can use, we can have as your meal. Next slide, please. You can do the special meal with insect. For the people who are not afraid of insect, they can eat easily. But for the people that they are not familiar with the insect, they will use the powder, because the powder of insect, they have a lot of protein and also the whey protein, and this is good also for the athletes, for the sportsman, to build the muscle. Okay, I think that's all I will share with you today. And any question you can leave with Kun Rose, and I try to answer every question after this. Thank you, Kun Rose.
ขอบคุณค่ะ Thank you very much คุณวิสิต due to คุณวิสิต has the urgent meeting so he will leave the floor now and I would like to ask the audience you can see the rerun again in our food ingredients online event so and if you have any question please put in the Q&A box here so I give this opportunity to open the platform for a while but we can let คุณวิสิต go ขอบคุณค่ะพี่สวัสดีค่ะค่ะ for the audience that be with me now I would like to take opportunity to introduce our online event which you can follow us on the Swapcard platform the online event here is the registration most of the topic that Mr. Visit has mentioned will be also addressed there with the series of the webinar. You can do sourcing the products there. And also the online event will also cover on the next topic. Yeah. So for the online event, there will be 14 days from 9 to 22 of September. There will be about 100 over suppliers and there will be about 40 more sessions. The webinar on future food trend, innovation in food, BCG models, and also the regulatory issue happen in ASEAN. So I would like to also invite you guys to join our next webinar, which is on 2nd of September. The topic will be the agricultural product development, which is by Dr. Surapong Pinitgrang. So it will be in Thai. So unfortunately, we will do in Thai first and we will run again on the online event platform of Food Ingredients Asia. So today I really would like to thank you for all of you to be with us and please stay tuned with us on the FI event, which is going to broadcast during 9 to 22 of September. Thank you very much. สวัสดีค่ะ